So I'm Thomas Twomey. I'm a fourth-year system engineering student at the University of Virginia. I chose to drive Charlotte since it is one of the few NASCAR tracks I've been to in real life. I visited there this past summer, and I was surprised that it looks identical to how it looks in iRacing, with grandstands and all. It's very challenging. The corners are flat out with a slight lift on fresh tires, but as the run goes on, it starts to get more and more difficult to keep the tires in shape and to keep speed in the car. I got into iRacing during COVID. I watched a lot of streamers and real life racers do stream iRacing. Before that, I've done Formula School. I've done Allenberg Racing School at Laguna Seca. My background is a lot more in road racing, but iRacing has so much to offer that I truly think if you give every form of motorsports a chance, it can make you as a driver better overall. And there's definitely lessons from how I manage tire wear and when to push and when to save that you learn on ovals that can apply to road racing and vice versa. I really like how challenging it is. It's very rewarding to drive. It's also very, very punishing in a way, which might not seem positive, but it really teaches you to drive the correct way. A lot of people jump into sim racing and expect to start going fast immediately and don't really understand anything about some of the consequences of real racing, where if you make a mistake, you don't know how to save the car, that you'll end up in the wall. And I feel like iRacing does a really good job of portraying that in the form of a sim. I definitely run with a spotter at every race, and a few of the collegiate iRacing members who we do a little league of our own that I've been participating in since for about 2 years, and that has really prepared me. We have some very high quality drivers who push me as a driver, and working with a crew is essential, especially in oval racing, since it's so dependent upon having friends on the track in order to go fast. So I'm running off of a laptop. It is a Lenovo Legion 7i, when my wheel and pedals are a CSL DD with the WRC rally rim, and for pedals I have the Fanatec V3s. So I actually have another rig back in California where I live and that I built over COVID, which is my first rig. That has a SimuCube 2 Pro and Huizenfeld sprint pedals, and when I settle down after college and find a permanent place of residence, I want to upgrade those to some hydraulic pedals and also potentially add motion to my rig as well. Yeah. I went into iRacing knowing that racing was challenging, but I didn't really know how much outside or in racing, how much was actually dependent on your strategy. Like it's easy to be fast, but it's another thing to pass people cleanly and to make moves in an intelligent way without crashing the car or putting the rest of the field in jeopardy. So it's really taught me to respect the car, to practice a lot, and really get good at racecraft specifically. I think mentality is almost 100% of it. If you don't go into a race with the right mindset, not going to come out of it usually with a good approach. If you go into aggressively, you start making moves based off your emotions and not really sitting back and thinking about the move beforehand. It usually comes at a loss. You really want to think about the race as a whole, and especially if something is over 100 laps, you're not going to win it by passing the guy on the first corner. It's about tire strategy, it's about when to pit, about gaining time in places that's not necessarily on track in the pit lane, not putting too much fuel in the car, but also not putting too little where you're going to run out of gas at the end of the race. My favorite achievement, definitely being able to participate in an eNASCAR race. I know I am sure many others also were watching the eNASCAR races from on TV, on Fox, and I thought it was really cool that there was something so realistic in the virtual world that was a lot more obtainable for me in this moment, since as a student I'm not able to go out and do any forms of real racing in my spare time. In real life, I would have to say on the road side I would say Ayrton Senna, and on the NASCAR side I would say Dale Earnhardt Jr. I really respect his strategies at Daytona. He has a lot of wins at Daytona, and I think that's for a reason. It's about knowing who to work with and who not to work with, and when to push and when not to push. And I felt like his NASCAR career was very successful at that. The next goal in racing is to do some more real-life testing. I want to use iRacing as a tool to prepare myself for the real world. With what little experience I've had in the real world, I'm absolutely hooked to racing, and iRacing has allowed me to kind of hone my skills for the day if I ever have the chance to do it in the real world. Absolutely. Ever since COVID started and I saw how much NASCAR was promoting iRacing and the sim world, as soon as I jumped on, I instantly felt how difficult it was, and it's pretty much as true to life as you can get. So if you can master your craft in the sim, I don't think anything outside of having the physical strength to do it in the real car, I don't think there's any difference between the mentality of someone who is really good at iRacing and someone who's really good in real life. So right here, coming into turn 1, just kind of, my tires are starting to get old here, so I'm starting to drift up the track. We'll set up a nice good lap here. So coming out of turn 4, you're going to stay kind of as high as possible, get up near the wall. Right here, I'm going to lift, going to head down the track, lift, get some momentum, and then get back in the gas as hard as I can. Get as much speed as possible going to the line. Go to the bottom. Right here, I'm going to go as low as I can without hitting the grass, track all the way out to the top. Turn in right at that Coca-Cola sign, get off the gas, a little bit of brake because the tires are wearing, get down to that blue line, and then drift up the track all the way out to the wall. And we're going to hug as wide as possible. Turn in at the Coca-Cola sign, off the gas, a little bit on the brake. The truck's starting to get real tight here. That's just part of the saving your tires towards the end. It's really difficult. And across the line.